Hello everyone, welcome to Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the home of Magic for the next 3 days, live. Welcome to the news desk, Rich Hagan, sitting alongside from Inside R&D, Mr. Ian Duke, and the Pro Tour historian, Mr. Brian David Marshall, here to set the scene, and in the next few minutes we are going to get underway with the drafting action. Can't wait. So gentlemen, first things first, over the next 3 days, what are you most looking forward to? Ian?
Well, as someone who designs Magic, a new set coming out is like a holiday for me. I just can't wait to see how players are going to use the cards in ways we didn't anticipate, and I just can't wait to see how things shake out.
All right, for you, Brian David Marshall.
So on Wednesday, before the Pro Tour started, we had the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the new class of the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. Really excited to see, in particular, what Shota Yasuoka does to build a new control deck in this new environment.
All right, and I certainly can't wait to see the limited format. Madison last weekend, just down the road, was a terrific Grand Prix weekend. Now the best of the best get to unveil those packs and try and work out navigating their swim lanes towards the best deck in the format. So, what is going to happen over the next 3 days? If you're new to the coverage, you're extremely welcome. Thanks for being part of our Pro Tour weekend. Brian, why don't we kick off with the schedule for the weekend and the formats that we're going to see?
Well, like you said, we're going to start off with draft. We're going to start off with Battle for Zendikar Boost Draft. We're going to have a featured table of 8 players. We're going to watch them draft. We're going to watch 2 of those players draft on camera. Then there'll be a draft viewer later, so you can watch how everyone at that table drafted, which is really important. And then we're going to play 3 rounds. And after those 3 rounds, we're going to bust out some new standard. We're going to see what's going on. Is landfall a thing? Is there a new control deck? Is green-white just still the monster that it's been in the 2 weeks of leading up to this? And we're going to have 5 rounds of that.
Okay, so that takes care of Friday. If you go 4 wins or better, 4 and 4, that gets you in to day 2. What happens tomorrow?
Well, we repeat the same pattern. So, 200 odd players will come back tomorrow, and there'll be another Battle for Zendikar Boost Draft. Everyone will sort of be sorted by similar scores, so that top table is going to be, all the undefeated players and X1 players on day 1. Well, it's probably the table we'll watch draft again. And then after those 3 rounds, we're going to go back to standard, and that's going to be the stretch run, which is going to determine our top 8 for Sunday.
Okay, and on Sunday, no more drafts. We're in constructed all the way Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday is the standard deck that we've seen these players play throughout the tournament. They're not allowed to change their decks. They have to play with those decks. And it's going to be single elimination, best of 3 matches through to the finals. And in the finals, it'll be best 3 of 5. And we're going to bring you every game of every match. So those matches are not going to be played concurrently. They're going to be played sequentially.
Great stuff. All right, Ian, let's walk us through the scoring system. Mm-hmm. It's pretty straightforward.
So we're playing 8 rounds of Magic each day for a total of 16 Swiss rounds. Best 2 out of 3 games wins a match. Winning a match earns a player 3 points. A loss is 0 points. And if a player's managed to draw, they each get 1 point.
Okay, how do people draw in a game of Magic?
So we are playing timed rounds today, Rich. So if the round goes to time and say the players are tied 1 game apiece, then they'll have 5 additional turns. And if at the end of those turns, neither player has won that 3rd game, the match will be a tie.
Okay, now in general terms, simple math, giving someone 3 points for the win, that's 3 points going into the system. As soon as you draw 1 point each, that's 2 points going into the system. So kind of everyone loses with a draw. When we get to the very back end of tomorrow, you may see someone with a draw thinking, I'm so glad I got that draw back in round 4. But basically, draws are not good news. So if you just have that in the back of your mind. All right, BDM, what are we playing for? Because there's sort of lots of prizes on offer, some of them monetary, just straight up cash dollars.
Sure.
But there's some other things on the line as well.
So pro points and cash and invites are really the big things that you care about in this. $40,000 first prize, 30 pro points. That's, that is platinum. You're set for the next 2 years of Pro Tours, especially at the first Pro Tour.
Right.
If you win this Pro Tour, you're platinum throughout the rest of this year, and then you're platinum next season as well. So that's huge. That's appearance fees. That's everything. That's tremendous. $40,000 cash, obviously. Prizes go down. Pro points, there is a slight change.
Right.
In the way pro points are given out. Minimum pro points still 3, but now at 9 and 7, you can get 4 pro points. So you were talking to me earlier. You said RD wanted to make sure, with OP wanted to make sure people are getting rewarded for doing better than
Better than 50-50.
Better than
We think if
50-50.
you come to your first Pro Tour, you go 9-7, you did a great job, you should get more than the minimum number of points.
So there's still a stratification. There's still 3-point minimum for just getting through to that even record. But if you do a little better, you get 4. And also 8, 6, and 1 is now 5 points, and that used to be 4, which is a big change there. Though you see 26 match points is 0 to 26. Everyone gets 3. 27 is 4. And up.
Yeah, so 961 gets you that 5th point. So
Yeah.
good stuff. All right, now, Ian, a lot of people at home wish they were here right now. Why don't we look at how next time around for Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch, you could be here with us?
Yeah, so one of the main ways to qualify for the Pro Tour is to win a regional Pro Tour qualifier. You can qualify for your regional Pro Tour qualifier by winning a preliminary PTQ. You can also earn 39 match points or greater at a Grand Prix. 33 match points or greater at the previous Pro Tour. So once you're on the Pro Tour, you can kind of keep going there. Or you can eventually become a Pro Tour Players Club member. As you earn more pro points, you can kind of level up and get more invitations. And finally, after a long and storied career, you may be inducted in the Hall of Fame. We'll see a few Hall of Fame members here this weekend.
Yeah, it's fair to say that if you just started at your local Friday Night Magic a couple of weeks ago, the Hall of Fame bit, it's quite hard to get in that way.
Yeah.
You're probably going to struggle. What's the qualification for that, BDM? It's like...
So to get on the ballot,
10
you have to be
years?
10 years out from your Pro Tour debut. So the first
Right.
time you earned those 3 pro point minimum, you can have had Grand Prix pro points earlier, but that doesn't count. So 10 years out from that, and you have to have earned 150 pro points over the course of that 10-year career to get on the ballot.
And that's before people are allowed to vote for
Right.
you, and then to actually get people to vote for you, well, we're in the realms of 4 Pro Tour top 8s, 5 Pro Tour top 8s, PT titles, world titles. Yeah, so if you're just starting out, that's quite tough to get here via the Hall of Fame.
But we are going to have the Hall of Fame ceremony, by the way, shown, right?
That's right. This lunchtime, once we get to the end of the limited rounds, that's the centerpiece of our lunchtime entertainment. I can say without fear or favor, it is a very emotional, very powerful 20 minutes, and I think you'll all get a lot out of that. Whether or not you personally know the 3 inductees this year, Eric Froelich, Willie Adel, and Shota Yasuoka. It's a really, really lovely event, and we'll bring that to you at lunchtime today. All right, so gentlemen, the players gearing up towards draft action, but let's try and mark people's cards, because one of the real moments, we have 3 days of great moments, but one of them is the opening of Pack 1. Everyone's looking at 14 cards, and no one's made a mistake yet. So if you were sitting down, Ian, for round 1 for the draft, what card would you most like to see staring back at you in BFC?
That's a good question. My heart want to say Ulamog, right? I love
Right.
casting big Eldrazi.
Sure.
Maybe off a Hedron Archive or something like that. But I think at the Pro Tour level, one of my favorite combinations is blue and red. So seeing Herald of Kozilek or something like that to get me in that archetype.
Right, so that's the 2/4 for 3, the sort of signpost uncommon.
That's right.
For that archetype, because all your colorless spells cost 1 less. And there's a lot of good cards in that. Vile Aggregate's another great uncommon in that archetype.
sure.
How about you, Brian David Marshall?
Am I getting greedy and asking for a mythic? Can I just say Planar Outburst, or can I just go like more uncommon and go with a Rolling Thunder?
Yeah, so you just like to get rid of all the new cards, basically.
Yes.
You want an empty board,
Yes.
just your full art
Yes, I
land
do.
that have all been awakened.
Yes, I do.
Ah, that seems perfectly reasonable. For me, I think one of the most fun cards, and I can't believe I'm arguing for a 1/1, because I don't think I've ever done that in Magic history, but Dragon Master Outcast. Boy, that's a card in a little package that does some things. And it might do some things in Constructed.
Yeah, I think we could see that in all the rounds today, assuming someone opens one.
Okay, now, Ian, you were very much instrumental in this set and in this draft environment. Each of the color pairs does have a very definite plan that you can execute, should be looking to execute. How does it work?
Yeah, this is what I'd call a really high synergy format, which means cards put together can have good interactions with each other. They're more than the sum of their parts. Each of the 10 color pairs, as you said, Rich, has sort of a different theme or strategy it's trying to do. For example, blue-red is often like a devoid deck. You're playing lots of colorless things and getting bonuses for that. So you really want to play up those synergies, and you really want to follow through with your deck and try not to waver too much during the draft.
BDM, I know that you draft incessantly whenever you can. This feels like a format where, because of those synergies, each of the players, if they're in a particular color pair and a strategy, are getting good cards for their deck very, very late, because those cards are kind of only powerful in those strategies. Is that the way you found it?
That's the way I found it, but I'm wondering if that's going to be the way things play out here. I think when you get to the Pro Tour, you often see people drafting on power, right? They're just like, I'm just going to take the best cards, and I could see some of that synergy. I could see someone getting some synergistic cards very late, because people are like, well, you know what? I don't want to take a missed intruder,
Right.
You know, I don't want to go and do this cute ingester processor kind of synergy kind of thing. I just want raw power.
There's also something to be said for staying open and seeing what cards come to you later on in the draft and reacting to that. So that's kind of one of those age-old questions. Do you stay open and see what comes, or do you jump right in and try to maximize?
Yeah, and that's what I'm really excited to see, how these guys will play it out. Because if you see someone like a William Jensen taking a missed intruder early, then you know.
Someone like who?
William Jensen.
William Jensen. Let me just have a look at our feature pod here, where we have Jorge Guerra of Chile, we have Tom Martell of the United States, a Pro Tour champion, from Czechoslovakia, Jaroslav Buček, from Mark Tobias of Germany, Denmark's Martin Muller.
Ooh.
So this is getting pretty good. Then Oliver Polat-Rotman of Austria. You two, at that wall, in about 20 minutes' time, are going to go through every pick of Brian Kibler.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
But right now, it is time to hand down to the floor for every pick of William Jensen. Let's kick off Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.
Hello there, welcome to the booth here in Milwaukee. We're here for Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. That's Randy Buehler, I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and we are both excited to bring you draft action early in the morning here. Now, we want to kind of give you a picture of what the table looks like. So why don't we take a look at that now, and we can kind of set the stage here, Randy, for who's drafting and where they're at. Now, we're going to be watching William Huey Jensen at the top of your screen, but that's not where the story of this table ends here.
No, this story, there are names all over this table. Another Hall of Famer, Brian Kibler, the Danish wonder kid, Martin Muller. Tom Martell has been gold and platinum consistently for a while. Just one of the better Pro Tour finishers over the last couple of years. It's a good table.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good table for us. It's not the kind of table you want to sit down on for draft one. You're hoping to get a bunch of, PTQ winners.
A bunch of names you haven't seen
Exactly.
before. We didn't get that here. And Huey certainly didn't either. But we're going to be riding along with him as he does the first Pro Tour draft of Battle for Zendikar. So let's head down to the feature match area for that right now. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we are underway in our first draft. This is, of course, the first Magic action that's going to happen over the course of the weekend. So the players, well, maybe not that player. That's William Huey Jensen, who we're going to be watching. Doesn't look particularly nervous, but you will see some nervous excitement down there sometimes as they go. And here we go. Let's take a look at his pack and see what Huey has. Now, his rare is an Exert Influence here, Randy. Not a bad one, but he's still looking through the rest of his pack to figure out if there's anything better than it. I see he's got a Mindraker there. There's a Cryptic Cruiser kind of hiding at the back of the pack as well, a Belligerent Whiptail, but nothing really that seems to be jumping out as better than Exert Influence, which is, we call these mind control variants now. You'd probably call it a control magic variance. Yeah.
He would too.
Yeah, and he would too, to be fair.
and he will, because that was his pick.
Yeah, it seems reasonable as well. You can play this in a two-color deck with maybe like a minor splash.
Yeah,
if you steal something with 3, it's fine. If you steal something with 2, it's a little less good, but still worth it. Like, you're not cutting that card. Ooh, wow, Coastal Discovery gets past to Huey here. There's also a Demon's Grasp and a Complete Disregard in this pack, so a lot going on. But I got to say, Randy, the card that there's a Drana's Emissary too, but the card that really jumps out for me is Coastal Discovery. I think I'm in love with that card, by the way. It's once I saw it printed, I thought, please just be good. just be good. And it turns out it's excellent. Fantastic card. I wouldn't be surprised to see Huey take it here.
Drawn as Emissary is also very good, but it's just not lining up with his colors. You don't really want to add a gold card that's 2 new colors here at Pack 2 when you can, only. I think you give up a little bit here taking Coastal Discovery over Drawn as Emissary.
I
may
think
disagree with me. I know how much you love a good value card.
I do. I actually think Coastal Discovery is better than Drawn as Emissary, though they do go in much different decks,
of course.
To be fair. All right, let's see what Huey finds here. Now, he had a Swarm Surge. Now, there's a Ruin Processor, which is a card I like quite a bit, and also a Merc Strider, which is also a card I like quite a bit. This is an interesting pick. So the Merc Strider needs a little help, right? You're going to need to see a Benthic Infiltrator, a Mist Intruder, something to get that going. But
that said, the draft is set up. The draft format is set up to let you do that, to get your ingest guys to set up your processors. I like Merc Strider. I know I like the card, I think, a little bit more than you do. But, I think that if you can get that good, 2-drop Ingester, 3-drop Ingester into Merc Strider on turn 4, it can be very powerful. Wow, there's still a Forerunner of Slaughter in the pack.
There is, and there's also an Oran Reef Hydra in this pack, too, really signaling how much the pros are down on green in the format.
Nobody likes green. Yeah, the Forerunner surprised me more just because it's black-red, which is, I think, a better archetype.
Now,
but look at that green rare traveling around the table.
That's a good card. Look at it. It's huge.
But it's green.
But it's green. What did he take? I missed it. Did he take the Hydra? The question is he willing to go into green, right? Because, that's a big question mark in this format. Okay, now this is an interesting pick for him as well. He's got a Stone Fury pulled to the front, but there's also a Shadow Glider at the back of the pack. And I know that Blue-White Flyers is a deck that a lot of the pros like. I know I like it too. I've played it. There's also a Dampening Pulse in this pack, which is a card I think that performs better than it looks like it might on the front. And that's what he took.
Yeah, Dampening Pulse is good. Another reason, he did take that Oran Reef Hydra, and I think he started with a Converge spell. Green is one of the better colors if you're building a Converge deck.
That's a good point. Now, this pack's a little light for him. There's a Todru Beastmaster there, which is a card that you can leverage in green, though it doesn't look like he's quite in that deck with the blue complement.
He's going to go Silent Skimmer, I think.
Yeah, he pulled it to the front. I don't really... Yeah, he can kind of take anything out of this pack. It may or may not affect what his draft does. So he's probably just taking the card he feels is just the best card in the pack and just moving on. Doesn't mean he's moving into black, but it might. And this pack seems to have dried up a little on him here. Not a whole lot for him.
Even you don't want to draw cards with Brilliant Spectrum?
I don't.
Me neither.
Yeah.
He takes Slab Hammer.
Turns out they make you discard most of them. Yeah, he takes a Slab Hammer here, which, again, it's a colorless card that could go into his deck. It might not. It kind of depends on how things go. Generally, the Slab Hammer's best in a lower curve landfall deck, but
exactly.
You can do what you can do with it.
I would go Mindraker here. I actually think that ingest processor, he's already got one processor. He's kind of setting up an incentive where he could get the ingest curve. And at this point, a Mindraker could be decent. He's looking at Oran Reef Invoker, though.
Yeah, I think he would take the Silent Skimmer over the Mindraker if he wanted to go for another black card. But I really feel like that Skimmer was just, there's nothing else here. I'll just take it type card.
Yeah, Invoker's nice in that it can get you a board presence early, but then later in the game, and these games do tend to go later, can be very powerful.
Yeah, he's got a Skyline Cascade in there. There's a Territorial Baloth and a Snappy Gnarlid. He goes for the Skyline Cascade. Picking up these spell lands, as we call them, can be important. It's basically you get a minor effect, but it's attached to a land, so it doesn't take a critical spell slot in your deck. You want to have a few of those in this format. Just going to take a Plummet here, I guess. Yeah.
Sure.
Little sideboard action. This format hasn't been conducive to playing Plummet in the main, at least thus far. By the way, that Plummet artwork is sweet. Look at that. I'm pretty sure that's a Cloud Manta or some type of Eldrazi he's taking down. Yeah, another Skyline Cascade as he winds down pack 1. This is a decent pack for him, though.
He's well positioned for blue.
Indeed.
And he's kind of open. He can...
Yep.
Maybe he's going to wind up being a green mage. I don't think he's committed to that at this point.
Wow. And that's an interesting one, too, there. Unnatural Aggression. Was in that pack. And it has just, at first we thought, okay, well, there's a green fight card. That's a good card. And it has just plummeted in everybody's viewpoints. Nobody wants to play that card anymore. And he passed it, too. He's just off it.
Geyserfield Stalker.
And I think he's right. That card has not performed well. All right, so let's take a quick look at this. Is the review period, of course, for Huey. And like you said, Randy, he's blue-green, but he's heavy blue. And if pushed, he could go into another color here. I mean, he would be giving up basically the Oran-Reef Hydra's, the main pull that he has to play green at this point.
Yeah, I'm not in love with his card quality at this point, and I'm sure he's not either.
Yeah.
That said, it's not like he passed anything good either.
Right.
It feels like this run of packs was not amazing, and he situated himself for colors. He knows green's underdrafted. He probably knew that before people started passing in packs.
But the fourth pick Oran-Reef Hydra certainly cemented it at this table.
I think it was fifth.
For him. Was it? Yeah. I mean, that card, look, it's a really good card. I mean, it tussles with Eldrazi. It finishes the game. You think of a card like Eldrazi Devastator. Costs more mana. This card is comparable. All right, here's pack 2, pick 1 for William, Huey Jensen. There's a Brood Monitor and an Undergrowth Champion. Oh, there are incentives to be in green. They just often come in the rare and mythic rare slot, and he's got 2 of them here. The Hydra, maybe not such a strong pull, but the Undergrowth Champion's very good.
Yes. And it's not like there's a great blue card for him here, right? What would he take if he wasn't Undergrowth Championing?
I think it was a Tide Drifter was the next pick, which is a fine pickup, but yeah, Undergrowth Champion's just great. Yeah, I think, part of the reason why we see green down a little bit here are actually cards like Oran-Reef Hydra, in that they are somewhat replaceable by colorless Eldrazi spells. If you need a huge fatty, you can get them. It's not a specific to green thing anymore.
Green is no longer the only place to go for giant creatures.
Exactly.
All the Eldrazi are giant.
Yeah, and even though the Hydra, is fine, it is only a little better than those Eldrazi. There's a Giant Mantis, a Retreat to Emeria I saw at the back. That's a card that's performed really well. There's a Call to Scions as well if he wants to stick in green.
I think you take Mantis over Call.
I agree. There's a Smite the Monstrous. Now, he is going to start to be a little concerned here as he doesn't have any way to deal or even really interact with his opponent's creatures yet. No Clutch of Currents, nothing like that.
And he has a Converge cards in his pile, and he's in the Converge color combination of blue-green. So
right.
He might be actively looking to splash.
He is, yeah. You can tell. I mean, because the Giant Mantis is a perfectly fine pickup, but Smite the Monstrous, fills a need that he really has here, which is removal. He just doesn't have any yet.
Yeah, especially he's not in either of the traditional removal colors. So
right,
you got to take it when you can get it. When you're in, blue, green, and white. Catacomb Sifter, very good, but I don't know if he wants to add a 4th color.
Yeah, that is the best card in the pack here.
Yup.
Now, if he wants to stay down this white path, he has a Courier Griffin or another Smite the Monstrous, though the second Smite the Monstrous isn't quite as tempting.
The other thing he might be a little bit worried about? Brian Kibler, 2 to his left, could easily be in green, traditionally known for playing the green cards.
He is a green mage to the core. There's no doubt about that. Now, this is getting interesting here. He took the Courier Griffin there. Like I said, the second Smite, not so exciting, but the interesting thing here, of course, is that that's another white card he just added to his pile.
Yeah, he could wind up in blue-white flyers from here.
He could. He would have to give, the Undergrowth Champion's a tough one to give up.
Yeah.
The Hydra, I think he could live with. Here's a Bane of Bala Ged, and there's also a Rush of Ice, which is like Clutch of Currents, but worse. It's like the sad Clutch of Currents.
Still, it's still a solid tempo play.
Yes, and you will play it in a pinch for sure. But he's going to go ahead and take the Bane of Bala Ged. That's the one, of course, that has it feels like Annihilator. It's the long lost relative of the Rise of Eldrazi Annihilator cards. All right. Well, there's an Incubator Drone in this pack.
Grove Tender Druids, I think.
And a Grove Tender, too. Yeah, and if he is on the splash, you could consider taking that card as well.
There's a Titan's Presence in the back, too. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think I like just keeping it simple and taking the Incubator Drone here. It's kind of like a Grove Tender Druids that just spots you a creature for free, but...
Courier Griffin.
All right, so that signals to me that he is thinking he's going to be in blue-white flyers, which, I think it's one of the best archetypes in the format. I wrote about it for the column this week in preparation for the Pro Tour. I really think it's great. Holy smokes. Halimar Tidecaller?
That is the dream uncommon for the Blue-White Flyers deck.
Hello, friend. That's a great card.
Suddenly, all those lands you've awakened have flying, and you get to pick up an awakened card from the graveyard. And it's a 2/3 body for 3, which is as good as you're going to get in blue anyway.
Yeah, there's nothing you can say that's bad about Halimar Tidecaller. It just hits it's either adequate or very good at every corner. Now the problem is, again, the one of the best commons in the set is Clutch of Currents, and he just hasn't seen or been able to take a single one.
Right.
I
don't even think he's held one.
I don't think so. He hasn't. No, I think he's going to take Anticipate here, though. This is going to be a really interesting pick to see what he does, because we're going to get an idea for how many colors he thinks he's in right now. And it looks
Natural
like
Connection.
It is 3.
Yeah, it does.
The answer is 3. So if he's taking the Natural Connection, then that means he wants to play, well, we'd call it Bant, right?
Yep.
Green, white, blue is what he's doing. So he's not going to be blue-white Flyers. He's still going to be able to play those green bombs that he got. Oh, here we go. Bring to light.
Neat.
That's kind of interesting. It's in his colors.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else really here.
No, you take it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's probably only going to converge for 3, but I mean, if he manages to pick up a random dual land, he could sneak a 4th color into his deck.
Yeah. So he'll when he lays out his deck later, he'll look at the options he can hit with it and see if it's worth bringing it in. Like, would you pay 5 mana for a Halimar Tidecaller? Well, sometimes. But not really happily. All right, the Tajuru Beastmaster
what's the
came
land in the
back. Is there a land in there? Did not see it.
There is.
He also passed a territorial bailout there. So Natural Connections, Natural Connection is not the premier way to fix or ramp your mana in the set, but it'll do in a pinch. And he's going to take Brilliant Spectrum here, I think. No, he didn't. He took the Felidar Cub. One of the things that the players are going to be thinking about a lot as they draft is how many 2-drops they have. Now, the interesting thing about that, I guess he got an Anticipate here, or that Giant Manus came back. The interesting thing about the 2-drop situation here is that there's not that many of them. So sometimes you get a little concerned. But the other thing is you kind of don't need that many. Ooh, Rush of Ice.
Yeah,
That's
that might
nice.
make the cut.
Yeah, you actually don't need that many 2-drops. You can. They don't have a major impact on the board, and the games are rarely lost to somebody playing a 2-mana spell. So even if you're not really stocked up on them, you don't have to freak out and over-prioritize them. It's just something to consider. All right, so Huey picked up a couple of mana fixers with the Natural Connection, and I think he picked up 2 of those. And those are going to help ramp out some of the cards that he got in Pack 1 and the Bane of Balaget, and it's going to help fix his mana here. So I think things are coming together in a reasonable way for him. I doubt that Huey's really excited about this deck right now. But I think it's starting to come together where he's gonna have a game plan. He can win in the air with Flyers. He's got a few bombs. Now he really wants to pick up some Clutch of Currents. Just some more. A Sheer Drop would be fine in his deck too. Stuff to get back with Halimar Tidecaller that's killing his opponent's creatures would be ideal.
So he's essentially blue-green with just a touch of white.
Yeah, I mean he's got 2 Career Griffins in
and
there
a Smite.
And a Smite the Monstrous. He did pick up a Felidar Cub, but that's not a priority. All right, this is leading in, of course, to Pack 3 here for our Hall of Famer. Huey is widely considered one of the best drafters of all time. I know people that would put him at number 1. And here we go. Let's see what he gets for this 3rd pack. This is really going to make or break his deck. And it looks like not a lot. A Gouldraw's Overseer's not what he wanted to open here. There's a Merc Strider. Remember, he has one of those, but so far he doesn't have any way to get Ingest going.
Yeah, it's a good pack for black, red. The colors he isn't.
Yes. It looks like it's going to be an Oran Reef Invoker.
What else is he going to take out of this?
Ugh. Yeah,
Stonehaven?
There's Call the Scions. Like these are just not the options that Huey was hoping for. So a really tough first pack here for Huey. He is not going to be happy about that.
And he's like, I guess that's what I get for being green.
He's like, come on. Something a little better. What do you think he's thinking, Randy? Clutch Occurrence. One time there, he got there. Clutch Occurrence. Ooh, but there's a Windrider Patrol in the pack and a Sheer Drop. My goodness, this is the pack that he gets all of it. So,
and why couldn't one of you have been in the first pack?
Yeah, normally I think it's close between the Windrider Patrol and the Clutch of Currents, but I think he just wants the Clutch. He's low on ways to interact with his opponent's creatures, and he's got a Halimar Tidecaller.
Makes sense to me. He seems to have the Clutch at the front of the pack, too.
Now, he can also hope to get something back out of this pack. It doesn't seem likely, though. Like, that Sheer Drop's not coming back, and it's unlikely that the Windrider Patrol will as well. I think Spell Shrivel was the only card I saw out of that mess that he wants to play.
I think mess is the right word.
Yeah. There's a Vile Aggregate at the back, too.
What?
Yeah, the black-red player is just thrilled with this sequence. There's a black-red Devoid deck in this format that's properly aggressive, and Vile Aggregate's one of the best cards you can get for it. And there was a Forerunner slot.
Yeah, he's passed Forerunner to his left twice, right? Yeah. Whoever took that fifth pick Forerunner.
I just feel awful, like when I just ship a great deck. You can't do anything. Is that another Oran Reef Hydra?
It is.
It's actually the pick here, too, it looks like.
Yeah.
It isn't really what he needs, but hey, right? Like, otherwise he's taking another Courier Griffin over it, and I think the Hydra pulls its weight, especially now that he has the 2 Natural Connection. He's going to be able to get that thing out on turn 5, or even use Natural Connection to help, as like a combat trick with it.
Funny, I know that we're going to be watching Brian Kibler's draft next. I'm curious to see if those Forerunners, do they get all the way through to him, or is Oliver Pollock-Rotman, is he getting the hookup? I mean, think about it. This guy sits down in between 2 Hall of Famers, right?
He does.
Pod 1 at the Pro Tour, you sit down, William Jensen on your right, Brian Kibler on your left. But I mean, look, if Huey passes anybody, if Huey passes me a 6-pick Forerunner of Slaughter, it's like, thank you, sir. I'll move in.
Yep.
Thank you for telling me what to draft.
Signal acquired. Here's a Territorial Baloth now for Huey.
Yeah, if Oliver Pollock-Rotman did that, he's going to be a very happy Magic player right now.
No kidding. There's another Incubator Drone for Huey, and then if that White Splash is still happening, there's a Grove Tender Druids. Oh no, it does Stalker too. Yeah, I like Incubator Drone a lot. I think it's a really good 4-drop in the format. I think I like just taking it over the Grove Tender Druids here. It's just easier to cast. Ramps out your stuff where the Druids doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an Adverse Conditions of Blister Pod in this pack too. I think Huey wants Adverse Conditions here as sort of a stopgap for, again, ways to interact with your opponent's stuff. He also can put down a lot of power. He's just going to go for a 2-drop here.
That's interesting.
I think that's a curve pick from Huey.
Yeah.
He's probably got a decent idea of how things are laying out, and he'd like to have a little more action in the early part of the game. I've been impressed by Adverse Conditions in general. I've also played it in blue-white multiple times.
Yeah, I was going to say, you put it in the green deck where you're
perfect.
Yeah, blue-white, you just want to kind of make sure you don't get beat up on the ground while you fly over for a while. But the green deck, he's really more interested in stalling and playing 6-drops.
Yep. And to be fair, Adverse Conditions, it does technically stall you out, but it's not the kind of way you want to do it.
You want to be attacking while those blockers are tapped. You don't want to be just stalling, holding off attackers for a little while. Daddy offshoot, sure.
Yeah, he just passed one for a Blister Pod. Now he picks up one. Seems fine. Probably start in the board for Huey.
It can be very good when you have the life gain synergy cards. But even when you don't, you bring it in against the guy who's trying to beat down with Grizzly Bears, right?
Yeah.
0-3 with some life.
Wow, Kozilek's Channeler this late. I'm actually surprised to see that. I've been really impressed by Kozilek's Channeler in general. And I'd be really happy to get one. Wow, Huey does not agree. He either feels like he doesn't need it because he doesn't have that huge top end, or he views himself as more of a landfall deck. He took I think that was his second Territorial Baloth over it.
Yeah.
What an insult to the poor Channeler, huh?
Stock dropping.
Yeah, I'm taking notes over here.
I thought that card was
Maybe
good.
I was
but
too high on
This is Huey.
Yeah, there's a Tide Drifter, a nice late Tide Drifter for him. Not going to go great into his deck, but it's a good defensive card if he needs it. And he's just going to pass that McKinley Slide Runner to take Angelic Gift. And that is going to round things out for our first draft of the day from Huey. It came around for him, I think. This deck isn't a blockbuster, but he drafted his seat well.
I agree with both of those things. I think that the deck is okay, but I think Huey's draft performance is like, what else was he going to do?
Yeah.
He was going to switch into black-red like halfway through pack 1. I mean, I guess that would have been the psychic play, but you can't make the psychic play.
No, and I think the real turning point for the draft was, is he willing to draft green? Because we have heard some of the pros be really down on green. Now, I'm not as down on it, for example, as some of the guys. And I've also heard some of the pros say, it's not that bad. Like, it's the worst color, but there's a gradient there, right? Like, it could be down here and the rest are up here, or it could be here. And, I have it kind of in the middle where my preferences don't usually bring me to green, but hey, if they're going to give me Oran Reef Hydras that late, like, I'll take the thing. I'm in, and it was a nice open there too with the Undergrowth Champion.
Right.
And so, so anyway, Huey looking pretty good here, I think. I mean, this is a type of thing that he can put together for sure. What kind of grade do you give his deck? I mean, and remember, we did get to see a lot of the cards that were flowing around the table, too.
B-, C+. I don't think his deck's great.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that range.
It's 3-color without fixing. It's like he's splashing for 2-3 flyers.
He's got
for
2
4?
natural connection.
Without good fixing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a little bit of it, without enough fixing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying he did anything wrong. Like, I gave his grade on the seat, I don't know, A-, maybe just a straight A.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the deck isn't great. It's got some power level, which is nice. I mean, the green cards, he's got, 3 different green rares?
Yes.
So, if you're going to draft
including
green,
a mythic,
you do it when they pass you 5th pick rares, and then you open a mythic. So, yeah, maybe it's a B- deck, but a good draft.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Huey's draft. Let's send it back to the news desk and Richard Hagan.
All right, thanks very much, Marshall. The first strategic insight of Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar comes to you courtesy of Kermit the Frog, and it is, of course, that it is not easy being green. So, Huey Jensen there, well, we see what he does. He does have some very powerful cards. Right now, it's time to head over and see what Brian Kibler cooked up 2 seats round. Oliver Polak-Rottmann, former Austrian champion, on the left, in between the two. So what did Brian Kibler do? We're going to find out pick by pick in the company of Brian David Marshall and Ian Duke.